All right, let's get started. Why I am only 17 minutes late. I'm still getting everything set up. I'm running a little bit late. My wife just came home. In a very rare instance of being sick from work, but she wasn't feeling well for, pretty much all week. So was kind of hoping she would at some point be able to break away from work. But she didn't want to leave any of her patients high and dry. I respect the effort. We talked about it this morning before she left. She was like, I feel guilty if I call in sick," which I can see that when you've got people with pains and stuff that you're trying to remedy. Hey, BDC Retro. Hey, Zubay. Hey, Chinny D's. I'm talking to Ali right now on the other screen about some functionality. So one of the things that I was saying I wanted to try out was to see if I could use our MUD actions or environmental interaction system with something like See and Viz, where if I've got See and Viz cast on me, could I set it up to be a condition that then works with the system? So I worked on that a little bit and found it wasn't working. And then Ali clarified that it's not the way. The intent is not currently supported. So he's asking me he's asking me some questions in terms of what we'd kind of want. So buff condition could also have a buff category condition. Difference is first one, yep. Both would be nice. But let me say, but if I could only pick one, the first one will be easy enough to set up. I think. All right, so we got people coming in. Hey, MMO Pug. Hey, D. Rev. Nicodemus. Dark Inside, hello. I have acknowledged you. Gucci, what's up? What's up, Big Al? Thadvic, good morning. Maze, thank you for 29 months. Maze says, wow, our relationship is more stable than me and my baby mama. Well, do you refer to her as your baby mama? That may be part of the challenge you're facing. Did I start Unity or not? I don't see Unity up over here. All right, let me double click again and see what happens. I have more fun with y'all than I do with my baby mama as well. You know, Maze, now that I've actually heard you speak in person in that discussion we had, I can be a little bit more forgiving of you in text. Hey, DDJ. Organic Cacao, Hell's Ridge. Maze, you seem like an alright fella. Hi. Oh, we love you too, Maze. Dark Inside said my sister had her first baby on Sunday. Awesome. Congrats. That's a big deal, man. That's super cool. I almost read that as my sister had our first baby on Sunday, and I was like, Bama, roll tide. So excited to be an uncle. I bet. Awesome. Pied, thank you for the 1 billion bits. Wouldn't it be crazy if it was 1 billion bits? And Pied was actually Elon Musk. Did I say Pied or did I say Tide? Because I was still thinking of rolling. A CJack, hello, what's going on? Thank you for 200 bits, CJack. There we go. Game development almost paid for. Hey! Thanks, Maze. Does Uncle Amazon take a cut of that? I don't really know. Maze also gave 1 million bits. Nick Demon said, I just knew Bam was going to come out of that comment. Well, I mean, I don't feel like I'm being mean. I spent enough time in Alabama to claim Alabama as my own. MMO Pug, thank you for 3 months. If any of you out there are really truly secret billionaires, and you found that over the last 2 years of watching us work on this project, you can't get enough of it, and you wanna give us a gigantic pile of money with no strings attached, we could probably work that out. We could probably figure something out. We'll put you in the credits. We're not going to listen. We'll listen to some of the silly shit you got to say, but I don't know that we're going to act on it. I cannot guarantee that we're going to act on it. I can guarantee that there's no guarantee that we're going to act on it. DDJ says, I usually refer to the Alabama stuff as West Virginia up here in Ohio. Well, you're in Ohio, so I'd be careful. West Virginia's pretty. I like it. Bob, what's up, Robert? How is the tour of the UK going? Our very own music and sound person is on tour some more. He's always on tour, man. He's a rock star. Yeah, if you win the Mega Millions, just let us know. Hey, Chad Solo. West Virginia. Why am I logging in again? Oh, I can turn music on, so we got that in the background. Pied, thank you for your generosity today and always. 5 gift subs. Hudev, Mick, August Burnsville, Tup, and Silencer have all gotten themselves a nice commercial-free experience. Very nice of you. Dargit says, hey Sean and chat, I have an interesting story for you. We'll be the judge of that. I am so sleepy. I had lunch and man, I got sleepy. Robert said, all good here. Had a blast in Manchester yesterday, heading to London at the moment. Sitting in the tour bus now. Perfect timing to watch your stream. Right on. No pressure. Gotta impress all the rock stars. Where is Nick Hotz? I don't know. He may be at work. All you know about England, you learned from Austin Powers movies. I've been there a few times. I think that's all you need to know. It's fairly accurate. Also, there was that one movie where the kids fought the aliens, I think. Also, Anything Dickens related? Can you guys hear the music? Sometimes I turn down all the volume when I'm in here working, but I'm on like a Slack call or something like that. We were watching. What were we watching? We were watching. Oh, we were watching that crappy spy show. The Jack something. Not Jack Reacher. Jack. Anyways, it's the dude from the Tom Clancy stuff. I liked the first season well enough, but Jack Ryan, and I liked the first season well enough, but the other two I wasn't a fan of necessarily. Sorry, it was just so wacky. So just like, why didn't they contact anybody with any knowledge of anything related to their topic to make it seem less silly? Anyways, that's just my opinion. It's just one opinion. But it was cool because the one fancy hotel that he stayed in, I think like season 2, I actually got to stay in because it was right next to DeepMind, or it was right near DeepMind, the AI company in London, and I was on a job interview there, and it was a really nice hotel. Got to stay there a couple days. Like, Jasmine, I've been there. Alabama Jack has been summoned by my comment earlier. Hello. Thank you for the follow. Alright, so Dargeth's story. The game dev job I was offered at the end of last year, trying to transition back into the industry. Let me reread that because I feel like I did not read that properly. That game dev job I was offered at the end of last year, trying to transition back into the industry, question mark. It was rescinded before finally approved by their finance team because of a hiring freeze. Learned yesterday the project I would have been working on was canceled and the studio dissolved. Dodged a bullet. Yes. Big Al said, had stuff rescinded beneath my feet as well. Guys, this is definitely the year for that kind of sketchiness. Watch out. Layoffs will be real. Jack Reacher was fun. I did like that one. And I really liked Jack Ryan first season. I just felt like it was just kind of silly and lazy as it progressed. No offense to anyone, but like, geez Louise. Hey, No Man's Stream. How do you guys like being in the how do you guys like being in the Monsters and Memories category now? Has everybody made a second tab and then clicked follow? Alan Richard is crazy good as Jack Reacher. Yeah, also he's ginormous, which is fun. That's always good. Twitch, Monsters and Memories. That's how Reacher is in the books. That's what I heard. I heard he was a hoss in the books. I haven't read the books, but I heard that what's his face? Who played him in the movie? Tom Cruise is not the correct size for him. He's a very small man. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he is a tiny guy. Not trying to shame them, but... Alright, so here. You gotta go here. And you gotta click follow. Or you need to leave. Justin Beard said, I'm 5'1", but I'm not an actor. But the fact that you're 5'1", you could potentially be an actor if you knew the right people. Because they need people that are not as tall in TV and movies. Because so say you got Tom Cruise and he's playing a badass dude. He's playing Jack Reacher or whatever. They've got to surround him with people that are like roughly his size or smaller in order for him to look right. Everyone in Hollywood, if you ever go to LA and you just walk around, you'd be shocked. They're very tiny. That's how they fit in the screens. The TVs are not that big. Even the bigger new TVs aren't that big, right? So how do you fit those people in there? Justin said, I mean, you know what? That has to make sense. The first part makes sense. The second part's me being silly, but the first part's actually legitimately makes sense, right? Like, you've got to surround actors with, you know, some comparable size actors. All right. We're only at 54 followers right now, guys. I'm fairly certain that the 54 or 56 of you that are in here, there's at least 2 people lacking. Or maybe I can twist it. Zed A. Shaw, thank you for the follow. Will Eminem have very distinct spell effects between classes? Like EQ, it's really easy to see which are shaman spells and others. Weapon procs, a shaman spell, there's no doubt. I'm unsure. I think we'll probably just continue to be creative and we'll have as varied of spell effects as Zukin has patience to make spell effects, probably. And then the other thing will be us trying to retain their recognizability. So here, I'll cast a spell effect. Thank you, Thadvik. Disco, disco. I love it. Did Zukin add Othmir yet? Not to my knowledge. He may have snuck it in though. Thank you guys for following the category. Hey, John. All right, so let me go back and check what Ollie was saying. So I was trying to debug something earlier, and cool. He said both bits of functionality are easy. Cool. Should I create an issue for them? So essentially, I got in the database and I was looking at doing the thing we talked about on Tuesday, and I got it all set up. And so what I may do, I may take out what I added because it's added to a spell that's a common spell, See Invis. And so I basically added a secondary buff that's supposed to be invisible to See Invis. Oh, I know. I think I know why it's showing up. Let me look in a database. I might be able to just keep it invisible for now. Because I think when I duplicated some stuff to make it, I probably didn't remove. Nope, it's not going to be there. Is it going to be on the ability? So essentially what it is using our system for interactive objects or MUD actions. Wanted to set it up so that when I cast See Invis on myself or anybody, basically anybody that has the buff See Invis applies to them, gets a secondary invisible buff that is allowing us to basically link that into our interaction system. And that's how we do it for a number of things, right? Like if I want a mob to drop a very specific item for a quest or whatever, then I can say if you use this spell, then this item will drop from the mob. And what that's doing is basically I go into that existing spell, I put on this secondary condition buff that applies the condition to the mob. And then we, within our drop tables, can look to see if that condition exists and then can drop an additional item. Same way with interactions. We, in theory, I thought, because we can check for conditions like day and night in our interaction system for our MUD actions, I thought I would just build a similar invisible buff for See Invis, and then when you've got See Invis on and you interact, you would see the invisible stuff. Has Ali not implemented something like EQ emo data buckets so you don't have to use pseudo buffs? No, he hasn't. That's why we're using pseudo buffs. And I mean, we could talk to him about the implications of going something more like data buckets. We've got, I think we've got data buckets for certain values. But feel free to bug him. But then when he repeats back to me what the actual system would function like in the implications, then as one of the customers for the tool, I would be able to say yes or no. For now, this is easy enough to use. Long story short, he hadn't considered utilization of conditions in MUD actions in this way. So that's why it wasn't working. Everything actually was set up properly, if I had to guess. And so he was like, that's easy, I'll just throw it in. But he's going to basically do it two different ways. He's going to do it to where I can, or anybody can create these pseudo buffs, I guess, and with a condition on it. And so we can get weird and squirrely there. But then he can also just check for buffs that are on you. Like See Invis is See Invis, right? I probably shouldn't need to just make another sort of like invisible buff that tells the system that it's See Invis. He can just check for See Invis. So we'll be playing with more like conditionals and stuff over time, because it's a nice tool for design to have to be able to make this kind of stuff. So I'm going to work my way back up. Nicodemus said, sort of like adding attribute added to player object, like Boolean is invis or is visible, and have it checked when MUD item is triggered. Yes. And we've got some of that that's just baked in, right? Like, so the very common sort of things like a skill check is baked into the system. But this thing gives us a bit of flexibility. And if at any point we start to find like it's just there's very consistent utilization of something, then we can just pull it in and bake it in. And when I say bake it in, I mean make it just sort of like a bool or whatever in the DB. Or a drop down or whatever. So for now, since I've basically manhandled See Invis in a way that's when you cast it, you get this little test icon that pops up. I'm going to see if I can get rid of that, so I can just leave it implemented as is right now, or if I need to actually go in and clean this up. Ability effects, so See Invisibility. Here's the original setup that either Nick or Ollie made, and then okay, no icon there. I don't honestly, I don't make a ton of abilities at this point. In the future, I'll probably do that a bit more than I have in the past. It's funny, when I worked on EQ, we had the ability guy, right? Like we would just go to Lawrence and then later on Ryan and tell them what we needed, and they'd set it up. But then on DCUO, we would make our own abilities a lot, and that's when it was kind of fun. what's my feeling on Dark and Darker? I promised to go back up and then I lied to you. So let me do that in a second. So Shadow Sworn asks, what's your feeling on Dark and Darker? I'm excited about it. I've seen videos on it. I have not played it. But the videos I've seen and like Asmon's review of it and stuff are cool and encouraging. I like that games like that can come out of nowhere and do good things. God bless them. So let me run back up and see if I missed anything, and I'll get back to you, Pazzy. Blah blah blah. Oh, we were talking about particles, weren't we? First, we were talking about how bulky Alan Richard was, and then we were talking about particles. Let's see. Justin asked, did you guys make your own spell effects, or was it included in Unity? We're making our own spell effects using Unity's system. The original ones that I made that were placeholders were using their, what is it called? Their, what, visual graph editor or whatever. I forget what to, it's something that sounds like it's something else. But anyways, I put some stuff together that we were using for the longest time, and like, we set it up, like Ali set it up as a prefab so we can play with lights in there and all of that. And then since then, Zukin's come in and basically started redoing all of those and then playing more with the bells and whistles. And so like you can see here, the, it looks like there's, that doesn't look like he's using prefab lights. To me, this feels like he's using light settings on the actual effects themselves, which is cool. But, again, I'm not an artist. I'm not a tech guy. I cobble stuff together. And so now that they're doing the shit legit, it's kind of cool to see. Thank you, Seek and Destroy Studios, for following the new category, Monsters and Memories. Asheron's Call had one spot where people were constantly casting and practicing spells. It was a color fest. It'd be nice to have some just like colorful light show type particles as well later on when we're looking at some of the more social stuff. Animation was pretty, but it seemed to have a harsh change between casting arms out and casted arms up animations. Yeah, I think there's still some tweaking that needs to be done. And maybe some, you know, some different, I mean, you know, definitely fine with that for now. I think I can mez myself, right? But we'll always be iterating on this stuff. Let's see. Pazzy said, I am really excited for this mud interaction system. I love the idea that every capability my character has is a potential answer for something. That I could read a note, infer that it means, infer what it means, and realize I have to cast a heal spell on a statue to prove myself to a deity, for example. Yeah, I mean, we could get pretty weird with these systems, though. Is Eminem going to have PvP? We'll probably have consensual PvP in the form of duels and arenas. We'll have PvP potentially in certain areas. Like there's a crazy idea for one of the cities. It's a bit of an extraneous human city. But I say there's a crazy idea. I don't know that there is a crazy idea. I've thrown forward a crazy idea of having that city because when we originally made the map, it's kind of central, and it's got an interesting history and an interesting kind of current state. It's a little, and I was like, what if that city is PvP? Basically, the city zone and its sort of the lake and stuff that it's in, was just flagged as PvP, and it's contestable and it's ownable in a sense by players. And so you can just, if your guild wants to invest their time in running that city, they can. It allows us to play around with some of the little kind of like the community driven sort of impact on the world without having to make like a full AOC node system for everything and blah, 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 right? Like, why not just have this be an interesting kind of one-off area? And so if on your server, assuming we have more than one server, well, it gets, that still counts. If on your server it's run by decent people, cool. If it's a horrible, shitty guild, then maybe it's a hellscape of an area that you just avoid on your way to the East Coast. So, yeah, I mean, those are the kind of ideas that it's our game. If we want to play around with them, why not? And we've talked about if we've got enough players, maybe even if we don't have enough players, spinning up a PvP server with an interesting rule set or something. Maybe doing something like Sulan. Alright, did I miss anything else? Dark Inside says I've been playing DCO right now, and I've got over 5,000 hours on the PC. Nice. I'm glad you're still enjoying it. I feel like it was it's been an underrated game. You know, we naturally did some stuff not so good, but and I'm not necessarily proud of how I hacked together a lot of my content before launch, but overall, it did a lot of really fun stuff. Kind of early on, right? Like, it's a physics-based action MMO that's both console, PC friendly. I mean, you plug in a... We built it so that we'd use mouse and keyboard, and then we pick up a controller. The UI would just immediately flip over, and it would just kind of work. Yeah, we have our own Twitch category now. What game is this? Ark, Wrath, Child, said. This one that we're looking at right now? Hey, Enoch. It is Monsters and Memories. It is in development. So it's not obvious by the category that we're in, which is Monsters and Memories, that this is we're in development type stream. But what we've been doing is, for the last 2 years, basically working with our community, from like day one of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we made a game like this? Which was really community driven here on Twitch. But we're working with our community to build out this game, and we show the progress. So, you know, a few of us stream each week and work on the game, or we play the game, or whatever. You can find the website here and our Discord there if you're interested. Hey, VGFX. Did I miss anything else? Yeah, we were just talking about the potential for the PvP city. Can you create a fog machine in M&M? That'd be a fun crowd control spell as a bard. A bard. Fog machine. Whammy bar. I don't know. We may have to save that for the Cyberpunk game that we'll make next. Let me turn off aggro. Make myself invulnerable. Power chord. Cast animation. Double bass. What? Get some of that psychobilly bass. The bard will be standing on his coffin bass. Yeah, effects pedals. There we go. You know what would be great? If we took the Wizard 101 combat style, where it's just the combat circle and you play cards, and we made it everything that we were just saying just now. So you play one of your cards, and it's like you you see them throw out the guitar pedal, come out. Solo. We could do it. Wild stallions. Last stream we were having some wild stallion humor going on. It was excellent. Yeah, San Diego's got a lot of good psychobilly. I went to a little tiny psychobilly festival when I lived there. I was a big fan. Saw Necromantics up in LA. That was nice. Tiger Army, saw them a couple times. They're so dreamy. Bar Dot, Base Melt. CC Circle Pit. I don't know if it would be CC Circle Pit. That might be like an area effect spell. The enemies get caught in a circle pit of little goblins that get summoned forth. Summon mosh pits. Circle pit is a point blank AoE dot with stun component. There we go. And it's all World 2 you hurl. Magician as a class, produce doves, saw monster in half. If we went with the sort of the combat circle approach, I could see all of that. Saw In Flames 15 years ago at a bar in Tucson. Definitely stayed out of the pit. I could see where that might be a very rambunctious. I mean, even if it's a big bar. All right, so let me look at my things to do list. I do have one. I'm not lying to you. I don't follow it very well. I mainly just chat with you guys. Broke MF. 3 minutes ago, you gave us a prime. Oh. Do I have room for these? We created a server error. That was nice. Wait, did I cancel or did I hit trade? Try one more time. Oh, yeah. I'm always just starving and dehydrated on stream. Alright, I'm going to hit trade again. Did it not work? Oh, there's a bug. I'm getting this server error. And let me go ahead and copy this. I'll pick your food up and then I'll eat it. Cool. I'll pick your water up and then I'll drink it. Great. Now you can stop seeing the yellow spam on my screen. And Isan, thank you for gifting Justin. Well, I don't want to confuse people. Thank you for gifting Justin Beard. That way you don't get confused, Justin. A sub. That's very cool. All right, so let me make note of this really quick. Bug discussion. Got this error when Luna tried to trade me item. And the trade failed. Ooh, -30, -40. Guys, it is much colder where you're at than it is in Germany. And that's wacky. Enoch said, things to do. Drink coffee, talk with chat, kill things, and obtain epic loot. You know what? Maybe I should just do that. Maybe I should just play the game instead of trying to be productive. I'll be honest, I'd probably hop on the test server with friends and family if I could turn off elements of my UI so they didn't see like player names and stuff. So that those folks wouldn't feel exposed, so they might avoid any harassment that may come from the community. And also so that folks don't go, wait a second, that person's in friends and family, why am I not in friends and family? So but yeah, so one of the items on my things to do list is to look over here and mix up the there was a distinct lack of level 3 mobs in here. And so I was looking at it, I did a just very lazy solution, to be honest. I think I looked at maybe added 1 or 2 into the giant pool of mobs that is this newbie yard encounter table now, which I think needs to just get sorted out. And then I made a new encounter table that was just like level 3 mobs over here. It's just like, here you go. Here's all the level 3 mobs you can eat. But there's like 0 danger, I think, right? It's more dangerous over here in the newbie yard than it is in here in the newbie yard. So like I said, it was a sloppy fast solution, but I felt bad that there was a gap. So I wanted to fix the gap first and foremost, and then that was on one of the days where I had like, I actually got a lot of stuff done, so there's just a quickie. Playing the game would be productive. How else would you level? Exactly. I would like to be playing one of my characters right now, but again, privacy is important at this stage for the FNF. No Man's Stream as said, have you heard of, okay, asked, have you heard of old school RuneScape Iron Man mode or EQ guilds or players creating more challenging experience? Yeah, I've even tried my hand at it. I had a solo self-found rogue, gnome rogue on was it P99 or Aradune? I forget. I can't remember which one. I was doing all right. I was collecting lots of rusty weapons, lots of bone chips, which I had turned in to get rusty weapons in Caladim. I was using sharpening stones to make them tarnished. I was then breaking the tarnished weapons down into ore. I made a full set of banded for myself. It was going good. It was going okay. And then I ventured over to the Common Lands. And I got poisoned by a snake and bit by a wolf. And that was the end of my run. No, was it the end of my run? Oh, and then I let chat vote to see if he could come back, and he came back, and then I forget what happened. I got bored. Yeah, back in the day, a couple years ago, I was watching Zaid was doing a lot of solo self-found stuff, and it was great. He had like a paladin, it was like level 45 or something, I don't know, something crazy. Before he finally died. And so during that period, Nick and I were talking a lot about like supporting that in different ways within game. So we're going to support it in some different ways. And the idea that I think I threw out was, what if there are also some fictional ways of supporting it? Through maybe we could put some wackier deity opportunities in. And so what if something like solo self-found was like a quest for a specific deity, right? So it's like a vow that you take, and then there would actually be some content associated with it. Or, you know what I mean? Kind of like turning in your book to the Priest of Discord and becoming PvP flagged, right? So things like that. Things like that. So what if there's some ways to play with it? But at a minimum, you can do it on your own. But, excuse me. Don't think you've seen Zayd God stream in about a year? It's possible, Turnip. I've been horrible about following streams lately. There's just, it may not seem like it, but the little bit of work that I do on the project eats up some amount of time, and then streaming eats up some amount of time. I don't put those two things together because obviously I'm not getting anything done at the moment. But I am talking to you, and I am the face of marketing. And then, you know, between that stuff and family stuff, and then being a wonderful homemaker that I am, and yeah, and then just, dude, the weeks fly by. So it's nice when I'm able to catch up on some of the team streams and stuff like that. But man, oof, not that I'm complaining. That night sky has to be your best asset. Ollie will thank you for that. Ollie's the one that whipped this together for us. Honestly, I think you can probably thank NASA or something. And No Man's Stream, when we mention ideas like that, like supporting that type of functionality, when you guys hear that stuff, I think it's actually on our like roadmap that we have posted as well, kind of at the end. To us, that's not like major feature creep or anything. Like those supporting that type of stuff is not like, it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy. So some of the stuff that we talk about, like when we're adding a little bit new functionality to like the mud interaction system, or we're talking about this and that. So far, we haven't hit anything that's just been like, wow, that's going to be like a whole 3 months worth of work, and hopefully it works out well. Whereas some of the shit like consolidating the 4 different UIs that we're currently using for different things into one UI system will probably be a little bit bigger task. But even those aren't necessarily huge tasks. Broke MF asks, forever ago, I apologize, what style of loot is this going to have? I've never been here for that discussion. Are the rare, epic, legendary, or whatever things dropped or crafted, or lots of drops. We do like drop. We like, you know, it's very much the standard sort of murder hobo, find some poor innocent creature's lair and then hang out in there for ages and keep killing them over and over, Groundhog Day style, until you happen to get the 3 cherries in a row and leave with your epic sash of whateverness. So that's, I mean, we like camping. One of the things that inspired wanting to work on the game in the first place was just this idea of, you know, the amount of fun that I've had on like TLP and, you know, P99 and stuff, of just doing the Orc Hill, Crushbone, Unrest, you know, just that path over and over again, and just sitting in there and meeting people and chatting and having like a nice meditative, maybe watching a podcast kind of chill experience is my favorite part of the old style of gaming, right? Now, we want to make sure that crafting is integrated well and important.
Hey, a smiley face.
Hey, Dantron, thank you for 31 months. The 30 numbers are just mind-blowing at this point. It's very cool. But yeah, so like I'm a huge fan of camping. I like solo camps as well. I think I've said a billion times now, like I actually enjoyed spending a week in Befallen, waiting for Gynoc, right? Like I forgot his name last stream, but now I remember. I enjoyed waiting, you know, getting my was it fishbone earring? I like that type of shit. Now, more intense camps and, you know, group camps and stuff, like it as well. I think Kunark was really good for that. I might be wrong, but I feel like Kunark was even better than Velius for like group dungeon camps. But maybe I'm just forgetting something, or maybe it was just by the time I was really invested with Velius, my guild was like, I swear I just was mainly like in Velks and a couple other places. I don't know. Yeah, it's like killing kobolds for my entire life. And then in Luckland it was just like Fungus Grove, pulling everything in the zone in Fungus Grove. It was so crazy because my guild leader would just run around and pull the entire Fungus Grove to us, and it was just all of those little penis mushrooms like bouncing at us. Just hilarious to watch all night. Be awesome to have shooting stars in the sky, but something quite rare to see otherwise. It's less special. Perjos agree. And maybe once in a server's lifetime or whatever, there may be some bigger phenomenon that happens. The skies are actually pretty important in the history of this world. Some stuff has gone down, pun intended. So that'll be something we look at. And I was just thinking earlier, I was in here looking at something else or working on something, and I think I had like just some specks of dust or something on my monitor, or a sneeze residue or something. But I had looked and I thought that I saw like a flock of birds in the distance flying, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have some motion in the background there? So we'll put that on the very not important but kind of nice to have list later. Night sky's cool, but the planetarium system Pattis showed yesterday might be a close second. Yeah, did he tell you that the script for the animation for that he made with like Chat GPT or whatever? Or was that a secret? I don't know. Hopefully I didn't spoil it. Sebelis and Howling Stones had some great loot and camps. Yeah, Sebelis was the first one that came to mind. Chardock, of course. Wonderful zone. Genius re-implementation. Chaos Flux, yeah, it was for the Paw of Apollo. Was thinking you should add a Chat GPT NPC somewhere. How do you know they aren't all? Nicodemus said, I had a friend who waited on Gynoc for 80 hours, never got the item he needed, and he just walked into the zone and was there at the zone line, and on the first kill got it. He never forgave me. Yeah, oh, you did it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So same shit happened with my ex and Ancient Cyclops in South Row. And at that point, like, she was pretty decked out. Like, she and I would hang out with our guild on raids and stuff. We weren't like great players, but our guild would drag us around. Because I think I've mentioned guild leader knew I was a developer. And so she was a pretty decked out little rogue. And but she didn't have J boots yet. So she was running across like South Row, and asked in like guild was like, hey, is this that Ancient Cyclops? Is that the one that you guys were always talking about or whatever? And we're like, yeah. And I looked over. Or no, actually, where was I? Maybe I was at work and she was playing. No, I was there. I remember now. I was there. Yeah, she was just like, hey, is this guy important? This is the one, right? We're like, yes, why? She's like, I'm just looking at it. It's like, kill it, get it. She just like smashed it down instantly. Everybody else had to wait. She just stumbled into it. I could have sworn my Gynoc was kind of like that as well. Like, it's like just waited and waited, saw him once, nothing, waited. Oh, I think it was one of those, like, had to leave, really, you know, sort of, this is the last spawn kind of thing, and he finally popped and was like, okay, that's great. Out of curiosity, I asked the chat GPT where the Blade of Carnage was from, and it said that the Bach was from Eldon and Proc Carnage. Worst AI ever. Point me in the direction of the Pain Soul Camp in this game. I've got work to do. You know what? This reminds me. Maybe I could turn this into something... do I want to do this on stream now? So I want to put together a survey that gets into because our mailing list can be found here if you're not a part of it yet. We've got a decent number of people on the mailing list now. Let me check and see how many there are. But surveys are kind of fun. We have not done anywhere near the number of surveys that I thought we were going to do. I think we've only done like 1 or 2. And so I'd like to, maybe later, okay, we have 2,500 people on the mailing list. Wow, really? 2,500? Okay. For some reason let me look at the last update. How many people did it send it out to? Jeez. Okay. More than I thought. Another player? Yeah, Broken MF, of course there's another player. It's a MMO. It works. There are people grouping and playing together on our test server, right? Well, maybe not right this very moment, but by tonight there will be. Is he a friend and or family here? Well, this is the development server. So she is one of my fellow teammates. You must not be in the editor? I am in the editor. Look. But we can work on the server together in real time live. We're both on development servers, so like right now if she wanted to make a change in the database, you know, she edits the database or whatever. And speaking of which, I still need to fix the thing I did. Oh, is it because of the way I set up the buff effect? No. Where's that other icon coming from? Why is it doing this? There. Yeah, that's where it is. All right, let me fix this really quick. Invis, test. Yeah, there shouldn't be anything showing up, but there is. Okay. I'll ask Ali about it. I'll probably just delete all of that stuff. Sentient Polygon, thank you for the follow. No, it's oftentimes I'm the only one in here working, or I'm the only one in this area working. But we've done like group content together, you know, while working and all that stuff. It's really easy to set up. So like, if I make a change in the database, I can update the database here, and then immediately just reload the zone, and boom, the data is now available for us, and we just keep on doing our happy little thing. Working. Thank you, UK Rats. Thank you. I'm not self-conscious enough about that. So I guess if I was that self-conscious about it, I would get some work done. Ancient Cyclops was always a blast too. Friends and I camped Ocean of Tears for 4 days straight to get us all our boots. It was an interesting weekend. Sounds like a fun weekend to me. Last time we did it, I'm trying to think where that was, if that was Aerodune or P99, but Nick and I were camping J boots for me. we got beat by a necro, and then right as we like, right after we're like, oh man, that sucked. Necro got it. There was like almost back to back another ancient cyclops spawned, and we got it, and that was a lot of fun. Did that on stream. Belfaster said I camped Najina for J-Boots for something like 18 hours straight, but have not interacted with ancient cyclops. Kind of wild that with as contested famous. I'm not reading this right. I get what you're saying though. I have a fun story about J-Boots and Najina. Remember that last week that they were in, and they said that the camp was going to be taken out and it was going to be a quest, and they didn't really say much more about it. But you knew the camp was going to be taken out, Drelsna or whatever. This was back when I was still in Alabama and was a guide and all of that stuff, and not on the team yet. I ended up sitting in front of my computer for 3 days in line to get to get my boots before the camp was over. And that was my first like experience of that sort. My girlfriend thought I was insane. She was just like, I don't understand. I was in physical pain from sitting in that chair. Like I was taking naps on the chair. It was such a miserable experience, but I was so proud when I finally got them. Like my hands were sweaty. Is that why she's not my girlfriend anymore? Yeah, that was that was the only reason. That was never gonna work. Cast block. Is this a continuation of a thought that you had? Hopefully a big ocean like EQ, but with more content, cool, rare named, and or mysterious areas. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You can kind of see an island or two out there. I cobbled together really quickly like an island zone when we had the boat working. And so there's some islands out there. One of them's even it's a dormant volcano with a pirate lagoon in the middle. Spoiler. Dark One said, this is an extremely controversial topic to the EverQuest community, but as one of the rare EverQuest PvP players, I feel like EverQuest without PvP is broken. Personally dislike traveling for 3 hours to get to a camp for an item I want, and then there's somebody sitting at my camp. I feel like the entire point of the game is the conflict between players, those camp. That's real fun for me. Without that, the game feels sort of broken. I can understand that sentiment. I mean, I don't agree with it as a sort of like it's a exclusive concept, right? Like it needs to be that way, but I appreciate it. I mean, that was kind of my approach as being a GM on Talon Zek. It was like, you know, whenever something came up, camp dispute or someone training the other person, is like, well, you're on a PvP server, deal with it. Oh, Simon has been building out some interiors. Senator Bobby said, hey, last time I checked on M&M, there were still blue pills running around looking better. Oh, Senator Bobby, you've missed so much. There's so much going on. I don't even have time to show it all to you at the moment. Well, I mean, I guess I do. Have you not seen any of the recent videos, Bobby? Oh man, lots of interiors. Whoa. Assassin's Creed. Belfaster asked. Oh, before I say that, it's fair to break up with someone who doesn't like to go camping. Yeah, it's true. Had Zubai had an ex that would laugh and couldn't understand that I had friends in an MMO. Yep. And where is... Yep, she's gone. Get rid of that. You don't need that negativity. You can have virtual friends. All of you are my friend. Even if you don't think that way about me, I think that way about you. Brands. All right. Belfaster asks, what are your thoughts on having strong items like that in relatively lower mid-level power dungeons? Was that just a bad mix of dungeon item power? Glowing black stone is another one that comes to mind. I like having a tiny chance for a lower level player to luck into an expensive item, as it helps create cool experiences and stories, and is like winning the lottery at that level. It's an interesting challenge, right? Because if you make it super rare, it'll still get camped, right? Like if it's, hey, this has a chance of, you know, it's a X% chance of dropping off of a NPC that's, you know, got a placeholder and it spawns once every 4 hours or 8 hours or 5 days or 7 days, right? Like you guys have seen that before. And so, you know, people will still do it and they'll be like, God, this camp is horrific, right? In theory, we could have something that could spawn off of anything in the world at a very, very low percentage chance, and you know that then you get your ring of power. The idea of putting something in there that's not that hard to camp, you know, not that super rare, but it's in a lower level zone, then it really becomes a question of, does it become a thing that the lower level actually gets an opportunity to experience? Or is it always camped by higher levels? And if it is always camped, mostly camped by higher levels, is that still okay? Because then there's that one time where it's not camped by higher levels and the lower level people get it, right? And it's like, ooh, fancy. So I think the idea of them existing and it just being a little bit, you know, lengthier of a camp, right? Isn't necessarily a bad one at all. I think, to your more specific question though, why did it end up that way in the beginning? I was talking about that with someone earlier today, actually, offline, and well, not in here. And the thing I think that happened with some of those, you know, items like mana stones and things like that was, one, they didn't really have a super centralized like itemization person that was controlling these things and vetting them. At least not when I got on the team. So if they had one before, that person wasn't there by the time I got on. And then the other thing was, no one really realized that the game would live for more than a year or two. And so with that in mind, wacky stuff was done. You heard it here first. We're all friends and family. Here we come. Oh man, I wish it was easier. In in all seriousness, we're getting a lot of really good info from friends and family folks. So we're hoping that that makes for a much improved first experience for a lot of you folks that have been waiting, so that you come in and you're not like, oh, this is kind of bunk. Music's too loud. I can lower it. Are you sure the music's too loud? Lost the war, said the music's too loud. Let me know. I turned it down a little bit. Melius, yeah, there's so much going on all the time at this point that it gets kind of hard to remember to like remind people and stuff. So the changes that you noticed, definitely appreciate you noticing them. There's a lot going on. Warlock guy said, RuneScape 3 has that with the item. If you have tier 4 luck, everything you do has a chance to drop the super luck ring from skilling to killing. Yeah, there's some... we'll probably play around with some wackier ideas there and see what winds up happening. Few folks, to wrap up the previous thread, few folks that are talking about the fact that their wives and significant others play with them. Does bouncing the server mess with development of other devs as they were? Yeah, if the server goes down, it just goes down for us, right? Like, ow. Okay, good. If the server goes down, then it's down, and then we have to log back in. But if we reload data, like I was saying before, it'll, naturally it'll show the loading screen to everybody, but then they can just go right back to doing what they're doing. Ah. But this is what Pattis was working on. He was talking about this before I had to log off from his stream yesterday. Been working on sculpting in Blender so you can apply to help us out. That's very cool of you. Nice. This city is... it's coming together, guys. Yeah, Nicodemus. Pattis does great work. Zukin does great work. Luna does great work. We are very, very fortunate. Those of you that are newer to the stream, or haven't watched in a while, I'll just give the usual caveat. If you look at our frame rate in here, it's because I'm in editor. If I were to log into like our actual built client, it runs nice and smooth. So I mention that just because in the past some people have asked, like, hey, what's going on with that frame rate or whatever. So why are the untextured walls on the left and the right different colors? Previous area, I think Pattis may be just kind of mapping them out, because what he can do is he can select in editor. He can come in and select that texture and replace all textures of that type with a different texture. So like if he wanted, in the end, if he wanted the mountain, which needs a new texture, this placeholder beige wall and this placeholder white wall, to have 3 different textures, and have that be common for all of the geo that shares their texture, then he can just update it pretty instantly. May also give some contrast fortification versus building. It may also be that's how he tracks where he's at in terms of level completeness with different things. There's no telling why he did it. You're welcome. That's a big part of why I'm here, is to answer questions the best I can. The world y'all are creating is beautiful. Thank you, Nicodemus. We're sure hoping people like it. All right, so let me... I had asked Ali a question. He has responded. So we're gonna get in here in a bit, Nicodemus, and you'll start to see more and more just actual content going in. Right now, the focus has been we've been adding NPCs as we need them for starter quests, right? So that's been going in a little bit at a time. And in some areas, like if I come over to the harbor, we've got some NPCs wandering the market and some guards wandering the market now. And they have different routines based on day night. So you'll see a little bit of that going on. And then you'll see different NPCs and behavior like in the harbor. And more and more of that will start to be layered into the rest of the areas. Probably do a little bit of a guard pass soon. There's a compound over here in the market that I'm going to start building out in terms of just like NPCs, and that's on my list. That'll make for some nice gameplay, but really we've just kind of been looking at as we need stuff. We got the rogues area over here. We just start putting it in, and then we'll start doing more and more passes, especially as like the harbor's got more interiors. We'll start doing passes with some doors and NPCs, and probably start with guards, and then yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. And then as we do that, we'll really think about them more in terms of camps and itemization and things of that nature as well. So you'll probably find all sorts of stuff to get into, especially if you don't mind like ruining your faction with one faction or another. The dungeon that we're going to be working on next, which will be out in Shaded Dunes, the entrance to it. The next dungeon we're going to be working on is actually going to be based on the Ashira, which you see them roaming around out here, and there's a camp out in Shaded Dunes for them. Yeah, I might as it's fine to spoil it. Like the concepts that we've talked about in the past, I'm going to be upfront with them so you can kind of see what it's about. I mean, it is a development stream, so one of the things we'll be looking at integrating into the Ashira dungeon, that zone dungeon, will be the ability for you to actually find ways to faction up with the Ashira, and that'll give you maybe a different perspective on what's going on in the area and give you a different approach to how you come back into the city and play. So Izzy Star, thank you for the follow. Robert said, just arrived in London, need to head out. Thanks for the stream. Peace. Hey, have a wonderful show, dude. Have a blast in London, you rock star, you. I expect a full account in photos. EQ Chronicle Gaming said, "Hey man, long time no see. This is FC7. Hey, what's going on?" Oh, so I've got the feeling a lot of what you're seeing is new. Then, all right. So those two items on my things to do list. One, Ali is now looking into. That's cool. He said it'll be quick. Looked at the third item a little bit ago. I know what I can do. I'll see if everything's good with zoning. Hell's Ridge said earlier, "I think I have convinced my wife to try M&M. So I'll have a duo in the future." That's super good. Can you elaborate on your approach to PvP? Are we looking at similar thing as you did with EverQuest, where certain servers had different PvP rules, or is PvP not on the map? We've said that we'll allow for a certain amount of consensual, and then probably have some opportunities for PvP in a zone or two, in our regular server, so arenas, duels, things like that. But the approach to PvP, sort of as a whole, is we'll probably, no matter what, even if we've got, we start out and we've got a low server pop, we'll probably throw up a PvP server as well. Just cause if we had to pick a rule set, I would say that I was part of the formulation of the rules on Sulan. So I had fun on that server. I thought we landed in a pretty cool spot with that server. So it might look a bit like that. And in terms of the functionality, we're not going to build like an entire new data set. Yeah, I say that now. There's currently no plans to build like a new data set of like player spells and refactor formulas and all that stuff specifically for PvP. It'll probably feel a bit like EQ did, where it's like PvP was an afterthought, so we're using a lot of PvE type shit in PvP. So I mean, if we found that, the majority of our player, you know what, I should add that to my survey question. I have some little survey questions that I started writing down because like I was saying earlier, I think it'd be good to do a survey. I should put PvP on the list. Don't mock unpolished PvP. It makes for some of the most fun and strange strategies. I don't mock it. I mock it lovingly. Both as somebody that played a little bit of PvP in EQ, but also as a former PvP GM. I thought cross-teaming was just brilliant. What a exploit. What a way to game the system. Pandemonium. You know who you are. I think Pandemonium was the Talonzek. the folks I had to deal with. Could have sworn. Sorry, I'm reading right now. So we got a couple of Talon Zek people here. If we were to list activities for people to rank, like what is your favorite activity in an MMO? I started jotting notes down on this. So here, I'll read them off to you, and then you should I just have fishing as well? Hold on. So hold on. You guys go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to read off mine as well, and I'll try to catch up with you. So I have camping rare items grouped, camping rare items solo, crafting, experimenting with different classes, playing alts, fashion quest, collecting unique looks, PvP, questing, raiding, role-playing, trading. And it would be one of those, like, if you had to stack rank them, if you had to go, all right, which is your favorite, which is your second favorite, which is your third favorite, all the way down. Medding? I'm not going to put medding on the list. Anybody that just likes medding. Should I have like... Yeah, I guess I don't have that, right? I guess I should. I'll put leveling XP. Leveling. Role-playing. Socializing. To Hell's Ridge's point, I was talking to a friend about the Bard, and he said to me one of his favorite things to do in Guild Wars 2 was play music in town for people. Are you all planning on adding something like that to M&M? We really would like to. We would really like to. So, and since one of the people that would really like to have it is the person that would probably be programming it, I wouldn't be shocked if we get something like that eventually, but it's a lower priority. Grouping and camping a spot, followed closely by crafting, John says. Turnip said prostituting. That is going to be strictly your business. I don't know that we're going to facilitate that in any way, but if you keep it to tells, we do have a bathhouse or two. Everfest said, I enjoyed trading in the tunnel, less than camping solo and group though. All right, that could be your third option, right? Like, we'll give you... How many do I have on here now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13. So 13 options. I'll try to basically, I'll probably set it up. We'll have a question for every option so that you can stack rank them properly, and I think it'll be easier that way to kind of see what everybody says. It's rad that we have 2,500 people on the mailing list. If you want to participate in upcoming surveys, be sure to join the mailing list, please. When did we add the new UI bar? Week before last, I think. We've been adding some stuff in. New spell book. Oops. New spell icons that Goblin's been working on. Doing a fantastic job on these. I think I've even got the icon sheet. You know what? Let's look at that. Let's look at that. We've still got to, we got to update the bookmarks. Ollie's beautiful, beautiful bookmark. Let me... I've got to put together this month's update. Mine. Pattis still owes us some screenshots in the website channel. Got some concept. That's a nice background on that one. That's pretty cool. Let me find the thing I'm looking for though. Here we go. Gonna be some tight art in this month's update. Justin Beard said, I think I'm going to make it, guys. I think I'm going to be awake for my Instacart order. I just had to get something before the Arctic blast tomorrow. Well, I'm glad you've got that sorted out, buddy. Hey, Sharon. Yeah, so here's the first pass on our icons. Thank you for the follow. Hey, Sharon. So what do you think? It's got a nice old school look, but they're gorgeous. I've got to say, Goblin really did do a fantastic job on these so far. And then we've got the ability to do some background stuff with them as well, so that's pretty tight. I think he shows it off in a couple of these. So like oops. We'll do this. We'll show you some backgrounds real quick. Open this. Open this. Open this. So you can see some of the different kinds of backgrounds that we can put on these guys here. So yeah, that's our style. And then, you know, you can see them in here. You can see them on here as well. They may wind up being a bit bigger on these bars. Again, everything we're doing is, you know, it's always iterating. Yeah, you guys in the Northeast, I hope you stay safe. Oh. Fortunately, I'm pretty high level. Oh, holy sparkles. Well, when you've got 3 clerics piled on top of each other, you're bound to see a lot of blue. Will spells have an inherent background color, or is it something that will be customizable, like offensive spells, red, buffs, green, etc.? So we've started playing with that up here. I don't know if we've got firm rules yet. I wasn't a part of that discussion so far. Jayish, thank you for the follow. God, this is just EQ distilled and I love it. I'm glad you like it. Welcome, Shern. Yeah, so it's my understanding that the goal is to make it so that we've got the icons that I was just showing. Then depending on the background, you'll be able to tell like what the application of it is, and it'll be similar when we look at other areas in which the abilities and spells are sort of represented. Oops. It's totally... I actually wanted to... Here. Dude, all these guys are clerics. Wow. What? Alright, let me turn off my aggro so these idiots will go back to just being cool. Skeleton in Eminem is more updated than Live EQ. Oh, be nice. We love the EQ folks. This is a Gregan? Bellpaster said, not trying to out anyone on the team, but is someone on the team colorblind so they can make sure any permanent selections like that are sensitive to that? Luckily, I'm not, but I have a few friends that are. So the consideration for that, it's definitely come up. I don't think we have anybody that's colorblind. At least not that I recall. We'll look at it. I do feel like there'll be. We'll see what we can do to accommodate various color blindness, and then in some cases, even the less common, I guess, types or whatever. if we find that we hit a style that we just love and it's not as, you know, it's not as friendly, then yeah, we will look at like some sort of a toggle that comes, like Belfester just said, some sort of a toggle that helps with that, so that there's a mode. The player character models remind me of Deoc with the dungeon design of EQ. Yeah, and keep in mind, we're iterating a lot, so you're going to find that we're having a lot of conversations right now and have been for a while on just character textures and some tweaks here and there to Geo and stuff like that. So what you're seeing is definitely not the final player character model, but it's moving in a trajectory towards, you know, where we want it to be. We've actually, I don't know if he's still in here, but one of the people in chat earlier is a really talented, very experienced games character artist who's been chatting with us as well and been swapping some notes, and there he is. Hey, VGFX. So, aw. On top of just being a super nice guy. So that's been really cool. So Goblin and Zukin have been talking to him, and we've been talking to him and talking tech and pipeline and style and everything. So it's yeah, it's been good. The last conversation was really exciting. I caught up with Zukin. He said that he's caught up on the conversation as well, VGFX. So let's see. Yeah, the fact that if these guys have certain armor items, so you can see they're holding their weapons as you'd kind of expect. Did we add anything here yet? I've got a note to come in. Cool. We'll add something here later. So anyway, the skeletons can also equip certain equipment pieces, and that gives them a little bit of variety. So, there's even a very special guy that I don't think anybody has seen yet. A very rare spawn who, when he appears, he's got a black hood and a black cape. But I'm not going to tell you what zone he's in or anything like that. You can find it later. Those of you that are completely new here, the folks that tune in a lot, you know, I appreciate your patience with the frequency with which I cover sort of the same ground, but when we have new folks come in, especially, it's like I point out some of the systems. So one of the things that we're doing that's also a bit different than probably the previous games that you've mentioned is we've got an interaction system that's all text-based, like an old text-based adventure or a MUD. So we call that MUD actions, and like right now I can look and it gives me a little description of either the area, if I'm in a unique area, or this feature, like it says here. There's a large stone statue rests in the alcove. I can inspect the inspect statue, and you know, it tells me there's a plaque on it. I can read the plaque, that type of stuff. And that's the thing I was talking about at the beginning of the stream. I was talking to Ali about I was experimenting earlier today on giving myself See and Viz, and then setting up See and Viz so that once I have See and Viz on, I could run into an interaction that I wouldn't ordinarily be able to see. And so, come to find out, it looks like I had set it up right, but we don't support it yet. But Ali was like, yeah, that's actually a super quick thing to add, so we'll probably have that in. By the way he made a sound, we might even have that functionality in by Tuesday, next time we stream. So that gives us the ability to check and see what spells you have on you, what effects you have on you when you do an interaction. So we could, you know, we could do something like detect evil, or, you know, detect good, or, you know, detect undead, and then trigger different interactions based off of that. So that's going to be a nice toy to play with when making content as a designer. So then we've already got some of our quests and stuff are already utilizing some of that. Like I put in a new set of quests, and for the Spellblade, like the starter quest for the Spellblade, and at the later stage, you actually use you're given a magic wand to use on these named ghosts. Spoiler alert. And so you use it in order to retrieve some material for the quest. And so it's just like a fun thing to be able to add with these systems that we have, both the mud interactions, or the mud actions, sorry. The mud actions, and then also like conditional drops and stuff. So did any of you guys play EQOA? Models remind me of that game, except for more polished, of course. We've had a number of EQOA people come in and actually be really amped on what we're doing, which is nice. It was a great game. Yeah, played a bit, and you know, knew a lot of the guys on the EQOA team, and worked with them when they were on EQ as well. If you watch the interviews that I've done with different EQ designers and stuff, Jake Soanes was, I think, one of the more in-depth EQOA interviews I did, and then Michelle Butler was probably second. I say there's tons of amazing people in M&M that are skilled too. Have it to point. Fanar, restructure that one. I got confused. Detect magic, baby. Yep, works great with identity, cursed item stuff as well. Yeah, detect magic. Do we have a detect magic spell in game? Let me look. Ability. Well, let me rename this real quick. Let me test. Cool. Yeah, so if somebody winds up seeing it, then they'll know that it was just me playing with something. Detect. 0 hits for detect, really? Okay, cool. Well, we need to get some detects in there. How are you doing spells in M&M? Something that I would love to see is more rare spells that are only acquired by looting a scroll or something like that. I always thought it's always so fun playing a melee because of weapon upgrades. Spellcasters, you just don't get it all. I'm a fan. I can only speak for me on this. This will be an area where we'll you know, it's only fair for the team to have input. I'm a fan of you know, being able to find rare spells, being able to quest for rare spells. I think we should do more with research and have rare components and stuff that can be researched into rare spells. Yeah, and they shouldn't just be, you know, raid loot. It shouldn't just be leading edge drops off of multi-group content. That seems kind of, nah, that's not in the spirit of things. That's my opinion. Dev says, I love when magic can be used for non-combat purposes. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the ideas with some of the stuff that we're putting in, like this interaction system that we have. Rare NPC spell drops is awesome part of Kunark. Yeah, it was fun because you could get them killing a, you know, random ass gorilla or whatever. I guess those weren't super rare, right? Shit, all of the talk about Kunark today really makes me want to play, get on like P99 and play in Kunark. You know what I'd really love? It would disrupt our development cycle a little bit, probably, but I would really love if anybody out there is listening can impact this. Oh, Zone was just repopped. Zone was just repopped again. Zone was just repopped again. Okay, Luna's in here. Doing some shit. So yeah, if anybody out there's got any sway on it, I'd really love to see a new P99 server. As much as it would impact our productivity, I'd really love to see it. Come on now. John said, I'd love to see a system where you can buy all your spells, group to get upgraded version, raid to get upgraded to group, and craft to enhance any of them. I mean, I could see that layered in on top of it, but when I hear people talk about like rare spells, it's the interesting variety, right? Even if it's just like a little percentage different or a little point different here or there, or maybe it gives you a little blue instead of a little red or whatever the hell it is. But am I still muted? I shouldn't still be muted. I muted for a second earlier when I sneezed, so you made me panic. I was like, have I been talking to myself the whole time? But when I hear like rare, it just feels like the idea would be for some nice variants to feel a little bit special. And the example I've used in the past with regards to like kind of certain items as well, instead of oof, all those, I wonder if it was the repops. My frame rate went to poop. Let me zone shaded dunes, see if that helps. If not, I can maybe restart. But your dad turned on the car, your phone connected automatically, is probably listening to me for a bit. Oh man, poor guy. It's like, what in the world is going on here? This sounds like insanity. Rare spells? Has Stadvik joined a cult? So it's funny. This city is it's basically a little snapshot of a previous earlier build of the city. So there's even more going on in the city now. But when we were doing some cleanup in Shaded Dunes, Pattis went ahead and pasted in a version and did a lighting setup. So now we've got even more going on with the towers back here and all that stuff. So, but yeah, it's so the goal is to make a place first and foremost, right? Like, I don't want to undersell the challenge of it, right? I'm not saying that it's easy to do the following, but I would say it's a bit easier to make a game with shit to kill, with things that make your numbers go up, right? Like, hey, made a game and it's got things that you kill and your numbers go up, experience goes up, you get items or whatever. It's another thing to really make a place that has a atmosphere that just feels like welcoming. When we work on this, since day one, like, I've wanted to make a world that I want to hang out in, right? Because yes, there will be the number chase and the server first and all of the sort of kind of competitive player focus. There will be the things for you to do and kind of show your clout and all of that. But for me, as someone that plays a shitload of alts, even if I had one like max level tune that's doing, you know, some of the more leading edge stuff, I got the feeling the bulk of my time would probably be on alts. And it would be nice to just make this world where I enjoy making new characters and hanging out and doing the kind of stuff that I do, which is like simple camps, camping for, you know, doing grueling camps for rare items, interacting with people. You know, it's just that's first and foremost. Like, can we nail the atmosphere? The thing in the background, that's Fallen Watch, and that'll be a zone that we build out later. Having an alt problem is fantastic news for us. We love people that love alt. So one of the things that I've got to do as well is the feedback that we've gotten is it's just right now the camps that are here are just set up, they're too easy. They're set up with the idea of, you know, not requiring CC, especially if timing was right, and they're fairly low density population. But I can look at NPC placement. I can look at some more roamers. I went ahead and put in a few roamers, but once you're going, it's not that big a deal. But like this is, what, at most 2 that you got to deal with when this guy's not patrolling, that type of stuff. That's what's missing from modern MMOs. Used to be about building an immersive world, not running between quest hubs. I think some of that was also incidental. Right? It was because systems were not as well designed yet. I mean, we have this discussion. We've had this discussion this week in, you know, so with some of the friends and family and stuff. It's a very tricky line. There's a very tricky line when it comes to designing something well. You know, utilizing all the lessons of, I guess, good design in air quotes over the last 20 years, but also retaining some of the mystery and challenge and other shit, right? Because you know, it gets into some of the feedback where if it's and if you give a little bit, then you create an expectation of excuse me, even more clarity, right? And so it's a hey, tell me how to find the thing for the quest, right? And this is an area where I think my views are maybe, you know, they're potentially wrong. I can be a bit controversial in sort of like the degree to which I take my views on this. But it's like, if the first quest you get, like if your starter note is a newbie, is essentially saying, hey, find so-and-so, they're going to be in this district, which you can find in this part of town, look for this building, etc., etc. Well, basically the only challenge is the walk at that point. You don't have to figure shit out, you just need to walk there. And so it's like, okay, well maybe that's acceptable for your starter note. And then we put in some stuff. Yeah, it's an errand, not a quest. Belfaster, I love that so much. I've been trying to figure out, because I've been saying it's a task, not a quest, right? But like an errand, I like that word even better. When we start, you know, and then Everfest, have a good one. Have a great weekend. See you next week, hopefully. But anyway, when we start sort of spelling things out, there's the expectation that they're spelled out, and it's like, oh, well, this wasn't intuitive, or this wasn't very clear. Well, yeah, but if it was very clear, then what's the challenge? Especially if you match that against like, hey, you're sending me to fight a thing and I couldn't kill it yet. What gives? Well, get more powerful and then kill it. Like I went up and I handed the guy the thing and then he turned around and he punched me in the face. Okay. Well, but this is a starter quest. Why am I getting punched in the face? And I couldn't even beat him. He's level 2. I'm level 1. Right? Okay. Well, come back with, one of our people did the right thing. Brought somebody else with him and smacked the, beat the guy and then looted the item that he needed. Perfect. That's the, And so there's a bit of this, like when I was first looking at the quest, there's a lot of different things that I was playing with. It was like, can I create something where people actually do kind of feel like they need to ask, right? Like, hey guys, I haven't figured this out. Or, there's oh my gosh, I can't do this yet. Well, but it's not like you were sent on a quest to defeat a level 20. You're level 1, you got told to defeat a level 2, right? That type of stuff. And so, I mean, I don't know that there's a great answer. I could be dated in my thinking on this, but I do think the more that it turns into like if you're someone that likes to figure stuff out, you can figure it out. It's feasible. It's not like that crazy. But then if you're someone that doesn't like to figure things out, you really won't get it instantly. I think there's value to that because, all right, ask somebody that likes to figure things out. That's the social part of the game. The social part of the game is not just forced grouping through difficulty, right? So that's the kind of, that's the thought on some of this. And then other stuff is, if you come in and the second you kind of peek over the hurdle of certain challenges, that it's behind you. John said there's a really fine line between hand-holding and not enough info. Tough to figure out where that line is. It's really tough. I would say that my tendency, my belief is, for the time being, is to err on the side of not enough info in a sense, right? Err on the side of people maybe perceiving it and going, oh, this isn't ideal, or this isn't good, or I don't like this. And kind of work carefully from there. Because a lot of stuff becomes like a slippery slope. I'm reading your stuff right now. That's why I'm being quiet. My character munching on a doner kebab made you hungry. Yeah. I'm fairly certain these are the part of the new recipes that Luna just put in. She just put in a ton of cooking recipes. Difficulty is often seen as barrier to entry, in quotes, by those who worry about cash. And that's, so don't get us wrong. We want as many people to play this game as we can without compromising what we think the game should be, and thus acknowledging that as many people may not be a ton of people, right? I would correct your statement, Nicodemus. Nicodemus said, I think the intentional difficulty of EQ was the reason MMOs became so popular. Look at Dark Souls' success. I think the unintentional difficulty of EQ is what got people going. And then in order to appeal to a broader group of people, then we removed more and more of those barriers to entry, and thus the difficulty, but then the difficulty was added back in at the high end or at higher skill level stages Right? So it became more mechanical difficulty, a lot more specific sort of game knowledge as it relates to encounters or in particular raids, right? And so we were doing that while I was on EQ, you know, intentionally looking at how do we make certain things easier so they're more accessible, and then making other things even more difficult than ever, right? Us adding a graveyard into Pop was actually so that we can make the raids even more difficult without there necessarily being the challenge of corpse recovery after a certain period for certain things. Let's see. Belfaster said that would be a fun quest. They send you to go deal with someone with a bounty reward. When you roll up on this guy, he had 3 NPCs who are also there to collect said bounty, and he promptly destroys all 3 while you watch. Quest over, you go back and report what you saw. It's funny to think someone would send a butt-naked, washed-up newbie to go kill a badass, which makes it funny to come back and be like, you sent me the wrong guy, I'm not ready for that. Or they leave his corpse, and then you sneak up after they leave, and you loot something off of it. With a MUD-inspired game, you can always have the option to put more items into chat text. Can be a bit spammy, but having 2 windows like you do can help. We're going to work... there's a lot of stuff with like interactions and stuff going on in text. So when we redo the UI, we'll really be thinking about the best way to tackle that. And we've already agreed as a team to also then put in the like Morrowind style record of interactions that you've had. So we'll be playing with those things as well. John says difficulty helps create social interaction. Social interaction should be both positive and negative, with a heavy weight towards positive. Yes, if it's all happy and positive, there's less sense of triumph and memory. Yep, 1000% agree. Angel said barriers to entry. Essentially anything that may lead to a potential customer churning at some point in the funnel prior to getting to the point where they're converted, so that you've got solid retention of them to maximize their LTV, or at least getting a decent return on ad spend, or getting a ROAS, or getting you know, a decent looking at the average revenue per user. Or I mean, it's just, yeah. So barriers to entry are essentially where are all the points where somebody may decide no longer to play the game. Yeah. Melia said, man, this is the exact talk we have in e-commerce web dev. I mean, it's the talk that we have in most modern gaming companies and stuff as well. For us, we're taking a kind of a simplified approach on it. And we're, like I said, we're probably, you know, people could say we're shooting ourselves in the foot with some of this stuff or whatever, but, right, there are decisions that you can make that you just, I don't know, you just make them and you go with it if you're not looking to, like, get all the customers. The last company I worked at in Sweden was made a MMO that actually is kind of it's a little more difficult MMO in many senses, and it's older feeling. It's a PC based online horse adventure game for girls. It's a massively multiplayer game. It's very niche, has a very specific audience. If you look at our data, it's very, very specific, even by country. Right, like we could look at a country and tell you the average age of the girls playing in Germany about 1 year to 2 years higher than, you know, the core average, like US. Sweden, it's a bit younger, right? But they're still installing an old school style MMO on a laptop, you know, usually a hand-me-down or a PC. Very limited to no support for Mac, but we still had folks doing it, and And yeah, you pay a subscription or you buy a lifetime. You know, it's just like a lot of the things that are considered barriers to entry in more recent years. And still, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of girls playing it and paying solid cash. Live from Toonland said, I'm fine with difficulty, raid mechanics, for example, or figuring out dungeon pulls, but sometimes the experience grind was just too exhausting to stay with. Yeah, but I will say the experience grinds for a lot of people like me, it's just so simple. It's just effort, right? And so I don't mind an experience grind as much because I get to a good spot or I get in a good group or whatever, and I'll watch TV on the other monitor, right? I'll watch a podcast, I'll chat with the group. And it gives me something consistent that I can do in a world where I can come in, relax. I'm not stressed out. It's meditation, man. It's like, open that beer, sit down, you know, especially if you're not the one pulling, drink your beer or your coffee or whatever. Boo, boo, boo. Talk some shit, watch some shows. Yeah, it's cathartic. It's, you know, it's not, in many cases, it's not much different than coming home and plopping down on the sofa for a few hours. Which, when a lot of people are like, "Oh man, I've gotten older, and you know, or the audience is older, they don't have the time to play like they used to." Yeah, like that may be the case in some cases, but I'd say like Netflix and TV viewing data says maybe that's not true, right? Like there are a lot of people that come home and they'll watch TV for 3 hours a night, right? Shit, there are people that come home and watch TV for 5 hours a night, right? Get off work at 6, you know. So it's like, so I think I'm not as worried when folks kind of throw that point back up. What I'm more worried about is like, I'll be honest, and I'm not speaking for everybody on the team. Naturally, we've got people on the team that, you know, at least one person that's very active raider. I would say at least 2 people that are, you know, active raiders. Played a shit ton of, you know, MMOs. Our team plays, you know, everybody has a different background, but there is a lot of commonality in terms of MMO experience. But like, I don't want the pressure of playing in a high performance group. Like I'd rather just camp in like a pretty chill group, and like that's my evening time, right? Like if I had more time, I would be doing it. I'd just be camping, shooting the shit, you know, looking for some other folks every once in a while when we need to fill a gap, and enjoying playing. It's relaxing. I come into an environment like this to kind of get away from things. Please include the selfie camera. Yeah, this is really, it's just a placeholder placed in. So yeah, that whole like seeing yourself geared up. We've talked about it. I don't think it's going to be hard. Belfaster says, I love how different people played EQ than the designer saw it. The Zatkin interview, where it's saying it was meant for players to dungeon crawl, like an actual D&D scenario, concept of pulling camps, not by design. Just people thinking better, safer, more efficient way. Yeah, and I feel like that is an actual style of gameplay that's been missed for a long time. I you know, running dungeons to me is less fun than camping. You know, maybe getting to the camp or breaking the camp is great. But then camping, I love it. Call Jono said EQ nailed the bard. I read this so differently when I saw it like pop up earlier. I was like, EQ nailed the bard to a cross. I was like, oh, this is going to be an interesting comment when I get to it. Jayash, 40 minutes ago we followed and I missed that, I think. Sorry about that, buddy. So EQ nailed the Bard class, and since then, every MMO that has tried Bard is like that distinct feel of a class. How do you see Bards in MMM? I think we feel mostly the same about that. So I know there's work being done on Bards and feedback coming in on Bards. Bard is one of the few classes where Ollie's like, let me play with this one, and so yeah. He's been poking at it. Yeah, it is meant to be like a Zen experience. Note to self, don't group with Loving Robot if you plays healer. Not in a high stress situation, don't. I'm a okay healer in other situations. I really enjoy playing it here. I had never played a cleric until Eridune, and wound up rolling a cleric on Eridune and leveled him to 50 something, I guess, before that kind of petered out. And then I enjoyed every bit of playing them. Steak MCC said, if the experience grind is as bad as EQ, there definitely needs to be other obvious modes of progression that you can make inside of a game session. Holy hell is the first few levels of EQ a quitting point because it's so slow. I'm less, I mean, I could definitely see where that might be a concern in later levels, but I think in early levels it's been less of a factor so far. Playing DMZ mode in Call of Duty lately has been the closest thing I've gotten to that old feeling of EQ speaking with one another. Haven't played at all, but I definitely had some great co-op sessions and older shooters back in the day. And there's also certain communities that are just nicer than others. I found the Tarkov community to be very welcoming, and always had like a Discord open where folks were super nice in that community. So it wasn't necessarily in game, but it was in Discord. I know it's come up 1,000, 10,000 times. What's the stance on instancing? Probably not in favor of it, Shaka said. Yeah. So we're going without instancing. Though it was interesting, we had somebody provide feedback and sort of like argue some different points in Friends and Family the other night. It was like, because somebody mentioned that like a level 20 was running around killing everything in Wormsbane, and it was a little disruptive. And then the person was like, well, yeah, that, you know, the better design is to like do trivial load code and stuff like that so that they won't kill everything. And then the counterpoint was, well, yeah, it may not matter because the person may just be killing shit to be lame or they're bored. And then another person, or then the same person said, yeah, well, that's the problem. Like, if you give an opportunity to people to be lame, they're going to be lame. And they're going to go in and disrupt stuff like that. Which my point was, well, for us, if someone's being lame like that, you know, we've got a small enough community, and as the community scales, we're supporting customer service well enough, then they can just say, hey, come check this out. This person's being disruptive. And then we'll get rid of them. Or we'll put them in jail for a little bit. And any argument that goes beyond that starts to get into the point of, well, that's how instancing happened, right? Because if you start to go like, all right, but if you're too high level for the zone, you can't even engage the mobs, and not only do you not get experience, you don't get loot, now you can't engage them, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, all right, well, once you start tacking on that many, like, layers of protection to keep people from being assholes, that is one of many factors that went into us adding instancing to EQ back in the day. and we're not doing it here. Been checking out Dragonflight, and nobody ever talks in dungeons. Ask questions, not a word. I had a really great experience in WoW up until probably Wrath of the Lich King, and it became more and more of a, if you're not hitting a certain DPS, and you need to get, you know, GTFO. And I became more and more kind of like, you know, on one hand, I was really, I want to be the dude that doesn't get shit talked and kicked out of the group, but it started chipping away on the more and more. I just was like, and then I was raiding with a bunch of people that like different EQ developers from, or sorry, Sony developers, going on raids with a lot of them, and it was becoming more and more of a, you know, don't step in this and oh, do that. And I was just like, you know, I just want to chill out on my laptop and watch some TV, and yeah. And so it just, it's weird because it just kind of petered out for me. But I also think part of that was I got super bogged down in DC Universe Online development, and then just didn't have time to do anything other than be miserable, crunch, and try to get some time at home. Chulane73, thank you for 6 months. Nicodemus said, I think if you have a variety of player experiences, some high octane activities and some chill activities, you should cover all types of players. Some people get off work and just want to chill mentally. Raids are high stress. Yeah, I think it's inevitable that we have a range of activities. The one thing that we shouldn't do this time around, you know, my firm recommendation is we shouldn't start putting all of our eggs in the leading edge basket and spending all of our time and resources trying to retain people that are always going to burn through everything, destroy everything, conquer everything, and oh, what's more? Give me more, more challenge. Okay, make an alt, or go play some other games for a while and come back when there's new shit. But I feel like we dropped the ball on EQ when we started really just being too focused on our high end. And it's that idea of like, you can't lose any players, right? And if you lose the high end players, they're the most vocal, right? They're gonna get on the front page of their website, their guild website, or they're gonna get in their forum and talk shit about, oh, I've killed everything, the game's over. Okay, well, I think there's a lot of work that we should be doing before the game gets to the point where that is the game in the first place. When, you know, I think if we get to the point where folks are that sort of intense and that invested in the game, becomes that focused on, you know, the challenge and, you know, sort of the EPing part of the game, I think we've probably already messed up again. So we'll see how we figure that one out. No Man Stream says, I have 3 kids and a wife. I get to a place and camp there. If groups are full, I just buff or heal and look at EQ and spell effects. When there aren't any, I solo and get 1% experience a day and hop in on a duo or a trio. Don't run around trying to be with everyone everywhere. Fair. It's funny because it's like, I hear a lot of like folks mention I don't like when no one talks in modern MMOs, and you know, I do like that when there's less hand holding and the community's got to figure stuff out and all of that. And so I've been watching our friends and family pretty closely to see how much that's the case, right? Like how much are people talking to each other. A lot of that happens in Discord, which is fine. The talking's talking, especially when it's a concentrated group of folks in one community like that. You know, but it's how much information sharing is going on, how much are people helping each other, how many people are becoming like the mavens that know a little bit of everything and try to help other people out, and that's where they derive some joy. Shit like that, right? And it's been nice to see that that's actually happened a fair bit. You know, we've got a handful of people that are really really just like, oh hey, yeah, this is kind of a weird quest, or I don't know what the hell Sean was thinking on that. But if you do this, right, and it's like, oh, cool, we figured it out. So I dig it. Call Jono. Call. My mouse dry. And call Jono. Thank you for the follow. Crux Dev said, what do you think about Vanguard? Anything from there that you're using as inspiration? At the time, my thought for Vanguard was it's a lot of cool ideas. I had just worked with the bulk of the design team, and this isn't to pick on any of those dudes. I've had them back on for interviews, on the EQ interviews I did. You can find them here. Love those guys and all that stuff. But if you look at the level of ambition that you saw with Shadows of Lucklin and the level of completeness when it launched, it was a lot of the same dudes now making a new game. And so it was a lot of really good ideas and a lot of big ideas, a lot of big possibility. But at the time I was like, having literally just worked with those guys, right? And again, I'm not picking on Jeff and Brad or Steve or any of the dudes that I knew that went over there. But they definitely were like the kind of folks that will bite off a ton, and then, at the end of the day, you got to get it done. And then I think the challenge for me was it just didn't run on my PC at the time. Star Wars Galaxies didn't run for shit on my PC when it came out. Vanguard didn't run on my PC when it came out. EQ2 didn't run on my PC when it came out. WoW ran on my PC when it came out, right? And so, yeah, it just was, that was a big factor for me. That said, people on the team, like I know Zukin's a huge fan of Vanguard. We've got people on the team that played a fair bit, are still sort of like active with the emulator community and all that stuff. And they're, great ideas and, good vibes to pull out of it and all that stuff. So. Angel, have a great brunch. Tell your mom I said hi. The diplomacy part of it is always brought up as something interesting, and I think that's kind of neat. Probably do it as like a little bit of a trade skill side thing. We've got etiquette and some other stuff, kind of just the line written in etiquette trade skill. We'll figure out what that actually does later. How we roll. We also have a bigger problem with, oh yeah, all the instancing stuff. Yep. Darkwing, I can make 100 arguments for instancing in a certain, in different games, but the question is it right for the game that we're making? And so far we're like, eh. Why it's rude to suck at Warcraft. I will, let me just click that so I don't lose it. I'm sure I could find it again, but let me hit pause. I think I've watched like Asmongold do a reaction to that video, but I'll check it out later and see. Atomic Dime Bag, that is correct. We cannot please everyone. The problem now compared to EQ is the high-end people now include streamer and content creators. I think it's a similar problem though. It's, yeah, but we can't bend over backwards for them. If they wanna not like something about the game, they're gonna not like it. That's just kind of that. The goal is that we make something that individuals that are kind of that are willing to think on their own and have their own opinions enjoy. Has any of your old work buddies from EQ days had a chance to try Friends and Family? If so, have they had any feedback, recommendations? Nicodemus, I don't think I've pulled anybody in yet. I'm fairly certain I haven't. I was gonna wait till a little bit later stage and then see what they think. Do I know Jason Wyman? I think he mentioned working on EQ and Vanguard in a stream you watched. I know the name. I think I've looked him up before. I don't remember working with him directly. Belfaster said, surely there's a board game designer out there that's a former EQ addict. I think CCG would be a good idea for taverns if you'd be cool having cards as drop. Loved Gwent so much. People can play versus each other while camping. Live from Tulan. But honestly, Belfaster, honestly, card games as a side hobby in an MMO seem like a fun idea. Yeah, so one way to potentially do that would have that actually be, rather than it be drops that you use directly, have there be a trade skill in that is somebody that actually makes the cards for it, and then have different drops be components for that person. Right? So maybe the game is based off of history and archaeology and stuff. Based off of history and archaeology, in different things, in research, in astrology, in astronomy, right? And so maybe the notes, not the notes, but essentially imagine like a tarot card or a CCG card. Maybe these cards are derived from various classes like that then can produce them, right? And so it's kind of tied into the fiction, like the world has a CCG in a sense, and it's the sanctioned cards they come from these sources, and those sources derive their information from different things, right? So, you know, just put a little bit of a fictional wrapper on it, and then boom, put it in. So it's really it's a question of just sort of resource allocation, dedication to it. Tell you what, if you tell all of your friends about our game and get all of your guildmates and your family to play later on, and that leads us to having the cash that we need to do extra stuff, then what I'd like to try to promise you, I don't know if I can pinky promise yet, but I would like to say that it would be nice. There are a lot of things that it would be nice to spend our money on that aren't like dropping a few million on a new project or whatever. It'd be nice to reinvest in the project and be like, hey, we're doing pretty well right now, so we actually commissioned some, you know, cool CCG stuff, blah blah blah, for this thing that we're putting in as a, you know, integrated into the game, that kind of thing, right? So I mean, I could definitely see, you know, opportunities to add features like that as a result of folks enjoying the core game as it is when we go live, and we may even float some of that stuff out to the community as like a poll or something, and be like, hey, we could do this with the cash, we could do that with the cash. What are you guys thinking? Get your opinions on that as well. And there's a lot of that stuff that I can imagine, you know, I can imagine situations where like Ollie's, hey, over the weekend I made this thing. Yeah, I mean, the dude's so fast and he's so creative and good. I could see that, right? Or some of the other programmers on the team, or you say CCG, I can imagine Goblin's ears probably perked up and was like, I'll make some cards, right? Like, so, yeah. Warlock Guy, says, I always thought it would be cool for a dice system that works like Finding New Colors did during history. Oh, look, this new shell I found while fishing, grind it up and make blue pigment. That isn't a bad idea at all. That's pretty cool, right? We'll always be pretty conservative on what we let you tint, right? We do like items having, you know, recognizable, you know what I mean? It's almost 5. My English skills are done. Belfaster said in quotes, I had an hour yesterday, so I made the best CCG ever. Yeah. That's so Ollie. The Deep Rock Galactic developers have taken that attitude of sticking with one game and really adding to it rather than move on to another project. Amazing game, by the way. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've been arguing that point at companies for so long that it would be complete bullshit for me to finally be at a company where, you know, I've got the ability to help guide the direction and then be like, oh, look, we're not actually treating our flagship product like the flagship product that it is, right? So that would be silly. Dude, I can't believe that well, yeah, I mean, I know I started the stream a little bit late, so it's not a full 3-hour stream, but it's 5 o'clock already, man. It goes by so fast some days when you guys have a lot of stuff to say. I appreciate that. A causal Black Sun, thank you for the follow. I mean, it's those of you that are new in here, here's our website, here's our Discord. Our mailing list is now over 2,500 people, which is fantastic. I do want to get with the team and put together a little some surveys. I've been saying that for like a year, I know, but I definitely want to survey some stuff and get your opinion. So be sure to be on the mailing list. Definitely hit up our Discord. Yeah, I'll say, I say this every stream. I always mean to like get more work done, but I'll be honest with you guys, when you're asking great questions and we're hitting great conversation and stuff, I can work anytime and I can work faster when I'm not streaming. But the one thing that's been fantastic about making this game, for those of you that are coming in just because maybe you got recommended MMORPG or whatever else our category is kind of recommending to people. Yes, you're in a game category. The game's not finished. We're working on it. We've been working on it for a couple of years now. It started as a discussion during some streams where I was playing EQ and shit. And we started talking about what we loved about older games. And my background is in game development. I've been working in MMOs for a little over 20 years, and started with EQ back in the day. And so, you know, I've always had different opinions about being able to make smaller games with newer tools and, you know, making niche games for a subset of the market and all that stuff. So it came together here on this project as part of our conversations. So we've just been building the game in real time with the community, and it's been such a massive help. It's an insane help. Like, this is one of those things that no matter how things turn out, I will absolutely be spending time with people I know in the industry talking about this process. Because on one hand, every company I've been at, it's like you keep everything very hidden until it's time to reveal, because, you know, you can't make a first impression. I get that. But we get so much like good feedback. We've had so many great ideas. We've had so much good just like response to ideas that we've had and like vetting shit. Excuse me. We get so much opportunity to sort of talk through our ideas and in real time get feedback from you. Be like, oh, but have you thought about that? It's like, oh shit. Like I say a lot of the same stuff every stream as new people come in, but it helps me refine it helps me refine the messaging. It helps me refine like what we're doing. You know, and so it's such a huge help. So I'm so glad you guys are here. if you look back over the last couple of weeks, if I'm tired, if I'm stressed, if I'm worn out, some streams I'm a bit moody and moany and pissy or whatever. You know, sometimes my reaction to certain things in chat, not the best, but that's because at the end of the day, we're humans making this game. And I'm very human for a robot. It's eerie. Sometimes I even forget that I'm a robot until somebody reminds me. Like, damn, you're a robot, dude. Thanks, ex-wives. But the thing that I found, you thought I was a lizard person. Keep that to yourself. We'll talk later. Do not share that knowledge. So anyway, yeah. So I know that some of you guys are probably like, hey, shut up and work on the game more. I'll try to do that sometimes. But when the opportunity presents itself to just be talking with you guys, then I'm definitely, I'd rather pause what I'm doing and learn from you and answer questions and kind of get better at that part of what we're doing. So Belfaster said, what are some things that come to mind when you that you feel would be very different if development wasn't open? Do you remember making a complete 180 on any choices in particular? I don't remember. I can't say that we've made a strong 180 on anything, to be honest with you. I don't know that we have. There may have been some smaller thing or whatever. If somebody on the team thinks of it, hold on, let me fix this. Yeah, so there might be something I'm not remembering. That was like a epiphany where we're like, oh shit, yeah, we probably shouldn't do that. I would say it hasn't, because we've had a pretty, you know, this isn't like a weird humble brag or whatever. We've had a pretty clear vision of what we want to make, and we haven't had to compromise that. We haven't felt the need to. I would say the what I feel would be very different. So we would have never had our team if the development wasn't open. So that's first and foremost, the team. So the bulk of the team arrived here because of streams or because of YouTube videos, whether that be directly or indirectly. I would say, but I think the bulk of the team is just essentially the community coming in, right? So we wouldn't have our team. We've gotten a lot of assistance behind the scenes from different people. Like I mentioned earlier, VGFX. VGFX is a very experienced industry artist who is giving us some ideas and tips and feedback and working with us and stuff, right? That's a big gift. There are a number of industry people that have, you know, reached out and talked to us about stuff, or, you know, people that work at Unity or have worked at Unity in the past, or you know, have worked at other companies with different specializations that have then sort of been able to keep an eye on us. I don't think that would have happened as much if it was just like, oh, they're working on a game and you're getting a little YouTube video every once in a while. But the bigger part of it really is, yeah, I forgot, like the what makes a great whatever stream. Those were a lot of fun. We may revise those and see if people's opinions have changed or whatever. Those of you that are newer here, a year and a half ago or something, I think they're in a playlist on our YouTube. We just did brainstorming together where it was just text, just tons of text floating, where just like, hey, what makes a good dungeon? And we're just, you know, going through that, and that stuff's gold. I think the bigger thing is not what we did a 180 on. I think the bigger thing has been, in many cases, hey, we have this idea, and we don't have to sit there behind closed doors and go, is this a good idea? Does this idea suck? Are we smelling our own farts right now? Like, are we just, you know, are we high on our own supply? It's really been like, hey, I've got this idea, and we can kind of get a read where people are like, okay, you know, oh, that's awesome. Or there'll be some of you are like, oh, I think that sucks, but it's a minority, and we can go, well, why did that suck? And then we can kind of figure it out. Oh, maybe I didn't present it properly, or maybe you just do feel like it sucks. But it's been a lot of affirmation on things that we feel are important. That could be a bias that's built into the community, right? It could be that, it could be, a situation where the people that have stuck around are liking these specific things, but we've churned 20 times as many people. But again, we're making a niche game. The question becomes, the people that stick around, is that enough for us to operate a business based off of, right? The people that do like this stuff, we have gotten feedback that allows us to tweak our ideas. We're in the middle of development. We're not near like beta or alpha or looking at a release date per se, at this point, and yet we're able to do testing with folks, right? So there's a lot of stuff, and it's just, I think, also keeps us honest a little bit, right? Like, you're not seeing me work at the moment, but you are seeing the work that we've been doing. And so you come in and you're like, oh shit, okay, that looks pretty cool. What's that over there? And how does this work? And, and so I think it just keeps us fresh. We get a lot of feedback, as Nicodemus is saying. And, it just feels like it feels like we already have a community that wants to play the game based on stuff that they've seen about the game so far. That's not like us having to go out then and pay an influencer or market or whatever. And I think I'd rather, when we go live, I'd rather us have a smaller, tighter community at first anyway, and work the kinks out and then grow it. So, I think that's better than we flip the switch and then there's just a shitload of randos and maybe the community gets weird or the culture gets, it's like, so definitely appreciate you folks that have been sticking with us throughout this. Those of you that are new here, if you go to our YouTube page, there is a summary of the last 2 years. There's like a retrospective that I put together. So you can kind of see from the first DMs and, loading up Unity through where we're at now, basically. But even at this point, a lot of that where we're at now is outdated. Everything's growing so quickly. John said, streaming while developing is also interesting from a community building standpoint. Really gives them a sense of input early on, like being a part of the process rather than dealing with the results. Exactly. Right. If this game is no good, it's your fault. All of you. Yeah, don't forget to follow Monsters of Memory game category, since we're now streaming from that category. Yeah, we're excited to get you in to check out the world. Like I said, we'd have you in sooner, but we want to make sure that the just obvious broken shit isn't so broken. Belfaster says, I think your dev process has inspired a number of people to actually go and try to learn various tools on their own, either to help contribute to this game or make their own. That's very cool in itself. Yeah, and that was kind of the idea early on, like even before the game started, was like, hey, it'd be nice to talk game development and be able to, share some stuff with folks. But now that we've got a bigger team that, more knowledge and stuff to show, then it's definitely, it's cool to see that a lot of people in our community are actively learning and building their own stuff and sharing their projects and stuff. So hit us up on Discord for that. I don't know why that double fired, but it did. How many times does networking library come up? #1 question on stream. It's high up there. Potential target date for open testing. We're looking at potentially doing our first like stress test. Don't get hung up on the UI. Don't get hung up on gameplay. Blah 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 type test before the end of the quarter. So before the end of March. So that's what we're looking at. We'll see if that stresses out Ollie and crew too much. Then we may push that. But that's been our idea. It's like try to get it. Get a few folks in and see, can we get 100 people in or 200 people or whatever, and see what happens with our our various things. Speaking of networking and server code. People are hungry for a networking series course on Patreon, Ollie. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the only concern we have with running the only concern we have with running the stress test is that you guys come in, check it out, and you're like, you're not able to sort of accept it as a stress test. And like, oh, and then, you know, people get bummed or lose interest. I don't know. I mean, I think the general feedback from friends and family is that it feels decent. Oh, cool. That worked. Feels decent. This week we did have, you know, one or more people come in and just get like murdered by our newbie yard, and they did not have a very good time. So that was a bummer for them. But that was like, I think that was also one of the first encounters we had in friends and family of someone just going like, why is this game so hard? Right? It's like, ah, shit, sorry. We had made some changes and it was, yeah, it was killing. Especially if you come in and you kind of go, you come in and you're like, I'm going to play like I don't know anything about playing. Then you're liable to definitely get murdered to death repeatedly. Capsule-shaped cookie. It's capsule-shaped chocolate cookie. A hard chocolate cookie in the shape of a capsule? It's got a... It has blue frosting, Luna. It'd be nice to actually have like a little... we'll get Goblin to make a little cookie icon. That's Luna's like GM cookie gift. So... any plan for independent streamers, beta or alpha for an independent game? Any way to apply for that? When we do the public test, people can stream all they want. We've mainly asked people that are in friends and family to not stream or make videos for two big reasons. Not that, I mean, honestly, if these two reasons didn't exist, we wouldn't care. We're showing you shit right now, so it doesn't, I don't know that it's necessarily that bad. Now, it could be that I'm showing you stuff, but I'm also not going, hey, look at this broken thing over here, and oh, I found an exploit, and what are they thinking over here, and I thought this was further along, and what, bullshit, you know. So that exists, I guess. It would be, you know, it'd be what it'd be if somebody in friends and family did that. But the two reasons that we're kind of really asking them not to do that is, one, a lot of people have asked to help playtest, and we appreciate it a ton. Like, we really do. But we can't just let everybody in. And so, you know, that's one of those things where we had to kind of make some choices and some decisions and grab some folks and stuff like that. So that was one part of it. Is just if you start seeing everybody that's in friends and family, otherwise I'd be streaming it, you know, right now, because it's fun to watch people in groups and stuff. One, it'd be like, oh, well, why is that person in and then I'm not in, right? And sometimes that's hard to explain. And then the other one is the people that are in, then they've got to deal with it as well, right? And it's like, oh, hey, GM, how'd you get in? And what are you doing? And what makes you so special? And all this shit, right? And so we just didn't want to have that hassle necessarily, both on our end and on their end potentially. So that's why there's no streaming or videos of friends and family at the moment. I don't know if there's an easy way to sort of solve that problem in the future. And then, yeah, so for the public test, when we do those, and folks can do whatever they want, right? I mean, and the cat will be out of the bag. It'll be one of those things where, oh man, it looked really cool on stream, but I didn't like X, Y, and Z. And okay, well, that's what happens, and we'll learn from that, and we'll go. maybe it's stress testing Ali and a team, not the game server. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, dude, trust me, friends and family has kept us busy. I still, you know, I or Nick or somebody's got to pull like this week's bug reports, and that's like another 60 or 70. Our bug database is filled back up pretty good. There's a lot of stuff that we've learned from. At some point in, you know, the not too horribly distant future, we'll probably like switch off friends and family for a little bit and let the testers take a little break and recuperate, and then let us catch up on stuff, and then you know, kind of see how things go from there. But yeah. It may need to be made clear this is only for stress testing. Feedback we gather is behind the scenes. Just play the game. Yeah, BDC Retro. When we do the public, the first public playtest, it's going to be. It may even be on the screen. I mean, it might even see if somebody can put a UI element that just says like, "Hey, thanks for no thanks on feedback at the moment." Maybe we turn. Well, you know what? I would say maybe we leave the bug database on, do a wipe of it, and just let them stress test that as well. Does this game encourage grouping from day one and to learn your class a bit first? Atomic Dimebag, maybe a little bit too much, according to our testers. A lot of the testers have been like, I shouldn't have to group until level 4 or 5, right? And I don't know how I feel about that. That'll be a thing that we talk about as a team. I feel like the sooner you get smashed in the face, the sooner you should probably go, hey, you seem reasonably competent. Do you want to help me by also getting smashed in the face together? Let's duo and see if we can now kill this level 1 rat that just kicked my ass 5 times in a row. But I'm sure there'll be a happy medium or something that we find that is not that extreme. Would it be too much to branch the bugs into one database, 2 databases, one internal, one for testers? Kimmery, I've been doing a tiny bit of research, and if anybody's an expert with GitHub issues, feel free to DM me. I've been looking a little bit on the best way to potentially surface what's in the bug database in a way where we don't create any security problems for ourselves, but can make something that's a bit more public facing without doing a bunch of duplication of stuff. So that may be a thing that we do at some point, because I'd like to get even more community facing information out there. You know, a little bit better roadmap. You know, we've mentioned doing some things like doing a breakdown of costs to date for folks. I'm almost done. And things like that. So Belfester said, hopefully first entry into Friends and Family wasn't a team member's sweet grandmother getting obliterated by a sand giant in the noob yard. No. I think the people that have tried it that didn't have set expectations fared a little bit better with some of the difficulty and vagueness and stuff like that than other folks who come in with expectations and be like, I would expect that this is this way, and how dare this, you know, that rat just killed me, so I think there's a mix. That's not to say that there aren't errors on our end. There's shit like NPC region ticking in combat a little bit too fast, or your damage output at a certain level, or maybe you don't have the tools that you need if you're in a certain class or whatever. So yeah, we'll continue to figure that stuff out. We're learning a ton, and we're still early on. So Legends of Old said dying early often and overcoming that is one of my favorite parts of old EQ. We've had somebody, and she's awesome, who had no sort of EQ style old school MMO experience, who's like shared bits of that progress and that, like, oh, this is scary, or oh man, I'm getting smashed on that, or I don't want to go in there, that's scary, that kind of stuff. And watching her progression was like, it was pretty heartwarming, because to me it just felt like an old school EQ 1999. I'm playing an MMO for the first time, though this person has lots of MMO experience in other MMOs. But you could tell that this was the experience that we've been talking about, that this individual who has game experience, that has modern MMO experience, had that experience, right? And it was just like, okay, well, that's pretty awesome. But that said, I think we may find that people that have not played EQ or P99 or older MMOs, we may actually do a better job of creating that experience for them, even if they have online game or MMO experience, creating that original experience, which is one of the challenges that was put before us. We may find that it's easier to do that for them than the folks who have had that experience and are coming in with expectations, right? So, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because I think those expectations then cloud things. So, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Oh no, Belfaster, what did you do? Oh no. Okay, so I tell you what, guys, it is 5:19. We have passed the 3-hour mark, so I've made it up to you. My lateness has been made up to you. Jasmine's sick, so I'm gonna go check on her and probably get dinner started in a little bit. I'll be back on Tuesday. We don't have any major plans until the end of the month, so I'm gonna be around. Thanks again for a fantastic stream. Oh, she'll be okay. It's just, yeah, she's got like a flu. It's a bummer for her, but it's not scary or anything, so we'll be good. Make her some food, make her some tea, and hang out with her, so. All right, guys, this is the point where we say goodbye. You've already kicked it off, so. Call Jono, thank you for being here. Thanks again for the follow. BDC Retro, see you. Have a fantastic weekend. Bullet Catcher, thank you as well. Dark One, take care. Belfaster, have a great weekend. Thanks, Kimmery. Esan, I appreciate that so much, dude. Even if you were a Marine. Schmonite, you're very welcome. I'll give her all of your wishes, folks. Yeah, Goblin, I agree 100%. See you, buddy. See you in Slack. Gulo, thank you very much. Belfaster.
And I want to dance.
Ollie, thank you for 30 months. It is your sub birthday. You can dance all you want to. You can dance in your birthday suit. We'll make it into a GIF, and we'll share it. Thadvik, see you. Reb Chumley, see ya. John, goodbye. Peace out, DDJ. Take care, legends. Nicodemus, see you on Tuesday, buddy. Hell's Ridge, see you. Yep, see you next week. Staffrock, thank you very much for that. See you.
Found the button. Sias.
Thank you, Thadvik. Sephrock, appreciate it. Chasolo, see you later. Mailist, goodbye. Long dong. Alrighty. Zube, take care. MMO Pug, take care. See ya, Pattis. I'll see you in Slack. Cacao. See you on Tuesday. Justin Beard, do not freeze to death. You guys in the Northeast, stay warm this weekend. All right. Chillane, see you, buddy. There will be a dance of some sorts. Aaron Gunn, take care. All right. You guys stay safe. Stay warm this weekend. I am going to push the button now, and I will see you on Tuesday or in Discord. Don't forget we have a Discord, folks. All right. Bye-bye.